Kryptonians, back again with another video. Again, House of Gucci is a movie that came out, I think, a week ago or a couple weeks ago, or however long it was that it came out, and I'm just now getting to it. I do apologize for my little mini vacation I took there. Either way, House of Gucci is a film directed by Ridley Scott. It stars Lady Gaga, Adam Driver, Al Pacino, Jeremy Irons, Jared Leto, among other people. It's a very talented cast that Ridley Scott has assimilated here. And the story revolves around the Gucci family that is behind one of the most infamous fashion brands in the history of the world, Gucci. The movie follows Lady Gaga. She stars as Patrizia Reggiano, I think that's her name, and she marries Adam Driver's character. She marries into the family of Gucci. From there follows a series of ambitious back and forths between her and the family that leads to a huge descent into madness and conspiracy, betrayal, and ultimately murder. And that is what the story is trying to capture here. Well, House of Gucci, after having seen it, I can definitely say that House of Gucci is a movie. It is definitely a film, and things were shot and put in a theater, and it's a movie that exists. Jokes aside, I actually did not know what to expect going into House of Gucci. Ridley Scott, as I said in a previous video, has been kind of hit or miss for me over the last decade or so, but he is one of my favorite filmmakers of all time. House of Gucci is like definitely not the type of story, not the type of movie that I thought Ridley Scott would be interested in telling, but he was, and then he applied his usual sensibilities as a director to it, and now I'm here to share my opinion of that. Yeah, there are some good things to take away from this movie. A lot of it lies in the direction, a lot of it lies in the production value, and most of it lies in the entertainment of the performances. This is a movie that, because of the subject matter involved, because of the story that they're depicting, because we're talking about Gucci, it probably would require a direction that has a little bit more style and flair to it. Ridley Scott understands that, and he has crafted a movie that is huge and glamorous and extravagant and kind of all over the place and very loud. When it comes to the costume design in this movie, I mean, obviously it's Gucci, so you would assume that the costumes and the outfits look really good, but no, these are like some of the best looking outfits that you're gonna see in a movie. It speaks to the people working on this movie. Like, they did their thing. They knew how to make certain outfits pop more than others, and they did a good job with that shit. The performances in this movie is a mixture of hilariously bad, but also really great in some spots, and it's hard to sometimes know the difference between the two. Lady Gaga is hands down the superstar of this entire movie. It would not surprise me if she gets some awards recognition. She was great in this film. The movie does a great job at giving her a lot of different hats to put on during this movie, because there are some times where she has to play, you know, the good wife, and then sometimes where she has to play kind of a ruthless, you know, pusher, and then there are other times where she has to play someone a little bit more vulnerable, and Lady Gaga does a good job juggling all of those hats. Jared Leto probably gives the funniest performance in this movie. I'm not entirely sure what he's doing with his accent. I'm not entirely sure if it is the kind of accent that Jared Leto and the filmmakers were going for. But I don't really care. I was entertained. I thought Jared Leto was funny. I thought he was hilarious in this movie. Even, unfortunately, when he wasn't trying to be funny, he was kind of funny. And I thought that that did add something to the movie. Characters are either eccentric or are hilariously acting over the top or something like that. Like, it's one of those movies where you're kind of hooked on the dialogue in certain scenes because you're interested to see these characters interact. You're interested to see what they're gonna say to each other. That makes for a movie that, while it's not necessarily one of the best crafted movies of Ridley Scott's career, it's not necessarily the most captivating or interesting, it definitely is one of the more entertaining movies that he's directed, I gotta say. I think this movie suffers from some pretty big tonal shifts. There are some moments in the movie that are meant to be funny and you're supposed to laugh, ha ha ha, and it's really good when you're watching it in the movie. And there are other times where you're watching the movie and you're kind of like, okay, I don't know if that was supposed to be funny, but it kind of was. It was kind of like unintentionally hilarious. There's other times where the movie goes for the humor and it doesn't work. So it's kind of a weird mixed bag in terms of the tonal shifts that this movie is going for, and I didn't think it was executed as good as it could have been all the way around. I'll also say that this movie did not need to be like 2 hours and 40 something minutes. I had no idea going into the movie that the movie actually was like almost 3 hours long, but then like halfway through it, I thought I was getting to the climax of the movie, and then it turns out there was like a whole other hour left, and I was just like, holy shit. I mean, there's definitely a few scenes where I feel like they could have cut or trimmed some of this shit down. They could have gotten to the point and gotten into the meat of the story a little bit quicker. There are some parts that drag. There are some parts that feel a bit unnecessary, parts that don't really add to the whole of the story that they're trying to tell. And that's what I mean when I say it's too long. Ultimately, this is one of those movies that feels like it's trying to be a little bit more self-important than it actually is. And when you actually look at the movie and some of the hilarious ups and hilarious downs of it, it's hard to know exactly what Ridley Scott was going for here and what he was trying to say with this movie. Maybe he was just trying to entertain us with a slightly altered version of a real life story. And if that were the case, I think for the most part he succeeded. House of Gucci was somewhat entertaining. I'm gonna leave this one in the Daily Planet. It's just above average for me. Guys, those are my thoughts on House of Gucci. So tell me, have you seen the film? What did you think about it? Give me your thoughts on it in the comment section down below. Between The Last Duel and House of Gucci, tell me which one was your favorite Ridley Scott movie of 2021. Let me know in the comment section. Like and subscribe to the Superfan Show, and if you like what you see, tell me how you feel, and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.